Aha there, mateys. It's Hullabaloo here. Welcome to episode 4 of Pirate Chronicles Naval Action, The Great Wipe. Now, those of you who watched the previous episode would know that this episode was supposed to be the beginning of the new story, the new adventure in Naval Action, where a sort of narrative story was going to unfold of me playing the game. But unfortunately, the wipe still hasn't happened. It's now the 16th of May and it's still not yet been implemented. The devs have posted a statement on the developers forum, on the game forum and on Steam, saying that the wipe is now going to happen on or before the 24th of May. Now that's a little bit frustrating, but I understand it. I mean, it's software. The game's in alpha. It takes as long as it takes, so that's fine. So it's going to be another 10 days. Now, that has been quite a long time, so I thought what I would do is I would make this episode, the Great Wipe episode, actually be about the wipe itself, actually about the patch, and talk about some of the changes that are going to be happening in this patch, because the game is going to be changing quite radically. The thing is about Naval Action is that because it's an alpha, there's no tutorials, there's no guides. In fact, very few. There are some things on YouTube and on the forums, but if you don't know the timeline, if you don't know when these, guides were published, you don't really know whether or not they're still applicable, because the game's changing so fast that you really don't know whether what you're being taught actually still applies. So I thought it would be very useful to have a video where we have a clean slate and where we set out exactly what's happening in the wipe and what you can and can't do in the game. And then the videos, the forthcoming videos, are then going to make a bit more sense. So what I will do is I'm going to log into the test bed. So that's the test server where these patches have already been implemented. And I'm going to play some little bits of the game and show you exactly what is happening. Now, if you're just interested in watching the videos, just for the story and stuff, then by all means just skip this video and you can start watching on the next one when I actually start playing the game properly. But if you are interested in playing the game and you want to understand the rule changes and how the game works, then you should carry on watching. It is going to be quite a comprehensive, fully comprehensive list of all the changes, and you should find it useful. Okay, so let's log on to the test server. So here we are. Put in the player name, Hullabaloo, and I'm going to be pirates. At last I'm a pirate, at long last. Warning: by creating this player you reset labour hours for your players on all servers. That's okay because I've used all my labour hours. Hullabaloo pirates. And here we go, logging on to the test server. So just to reiterate, this isn't starting the game again. This isn't the proper restart of the game. This is just me setting up a character on the test server. I believe I've got some redeemables there. I'm in Mortimer Town. Right, so what have they given me to get started? Right, for a start, I'm the highest rank possible. Okay, rum. Right, I'll talk about rum because I believe that's the new med kit. And these are the items that you need for ship repairs, both structure repairs and sail repairs. And they give me some XP and some craft XP. And yes, okay, so there I am, a curse. That I believe that's the top possible rank, and that's 1 million gold. Okay, so that's a bit of a start. Right, so let's get a ship. There's a pirate frigate. Well, it's going to have to be the pirate frigate, isn't it? Not really much doubt about that. 75,500. Well, that's not too expensive, so we'll buy that. I'll say hello to my pirate buddies. Aha, mateys. I don't think I'm going to be getting a particularly good response because there's only a dozen or so people online, so the last post there was a few hours ago, so I'm not really expecting a reply from that. Oh, I see someone else has put R, so that's obviously the a well-established pirate greeting on this server. Right, so Okay, I'm going to need cannons. Now, I've already looked this up. I didn't do this from memory. The pirate frigate takes the £18 medium cannons. I better double check. Yes, the 18-pounders. And I'm going to need 26 of these babies. So we'll buy them. Now, look, just that's a big difference. You now buy cannons each. You used to just buy cannons, and then regardless of the size of your ship, it would completely deck out your ship with cannons. They've now sorted that out so that you have to buy the requisite number of cannons. So you'll need to go onto the wiki just to check how many cannons are needed for each ship. I'm not sure if there's a way to do it on this one except trial and error. So that works. Now I need some long cannons for the stern chasers, but they have to be £6. There doesn't seem to be such a thing as a £6 long cannon. That's a bit of a bummer because it's nice to have the long cannons on the front there. That's what I've usually done. I'll buy them anyway just in case. We need 2 of them. I'll buy them anyway and I'll see if they actually fit on, but I don't think they're going to. So 26 on there, and then the other 12 on there. Now, will it let me put these? No. Okay. All right. So medium cannons it is then. The £6. Okay, so just 2 of those. Didn't waste too much money. So these are some of the changes in the new patch. Guns are now sold in units and can be crafted. Contracts on cannons can be placed in stores. Cannons can now be stored in the warehouse, which, to be honest, I thought they always could. So there's durability. So here you can see. Here you can see no durability on the ships anymore. Every ship has 1 durability. So if you lose it, you lose it. None of this durability nonsense. So so far, all changes I agree with. Just looking at the crew cost there, I did hear that crew costs had changed and gone up, but that I can't really notice that. In all honesty, there doesn't seem to be a major difference there. I don't know why that repair. Oh right, okay, yes. So here we go. Yes. So here's the other change. Another change. Repairs now can be crafted and carried in the hold, and you can use your fleet to carry more repairs. Cooldown is implemented on repairs. The number of how many times you can repair in battles depends on your hold size. You can capture repairs from enemies. So that's going to open up a whole new sort of dynamic in terms of fleets and having ships carrying repairs in your fleet and so forth. So that's going to be quite interesting to see how that works. Right, I can't leave because I have... Okay, so rum is now the new med kit. I'm splitting all these up because I don't want to carry it all because I'm not sure how available all these resources are at the moment. So I don't really want to go losing... do that again. I don't really want to go losing the whole lot in one go. Okay. So let's sail and go into the open world. You'll see that there was something called the captain's chest there in the dock. So that's one of the main changes. Admiralty store has been added. The following rewards were added. Names might not survive. Okay, so Admiralty store is actually called the Pirate Den. Oh, look at that lovely pirate frigate. Oh, I like that. Look at that lovely colour scheme. That's a nice looking ship. I like it. Okay, so in the Admiralty store you get PvP marks for high-end frigate permits and skill books, PvE marks for certain ships, skill books, resources and some other items, conquest marks for port battles and permits for line ships, so for building line ships, trading manifests, which is reserved for potential future use. Each reward can be used for exclusive content in the Admiralty stores or Pirate Den. PvP, PvE rewards are given at the end of the battle based on battle kills and damage. So if 10 people sink one ship, rewards are split for 10 people based on damage, kills and assists. Yeah, I'm really loving this ship. That's nice. So, another change. Hold load now affects speed and acceleration both in the open world and in the battle instances. Cannons affect hold load as well. So I'm pretty heavily laden now in this ship because I'm full of all those repairs and all that rum, and I've got fully decked out with cannons. So I may well be noticing a reduction in speed. Now, because I've never actually sailed the pirate frigate before, it's going to be difficult to notice that, although I have sailed the frigate, so I'm pretty sure they're almost identical. So it'd be interesting to see. I'll be able to tell much more easily when we're in the battle map. So I'll try and look for something here that I can have a little fight with, and we can have a look at some of the other changes in the combat. There's a cutter over here. To be honest, I would have preferred something a bit more juicy, but this seems to be. Well, this is just convenient, isn't it? This one. Let's have a fight with this cutter. It should be relatively quick, and we can just have a look at these changes in the combat models. The tagging thing looks to be pretty much like. Oh, I've got some really bad lag here. I do apologise for that. I'm actually going to be changing my internet connection soon, so this should be a thing of the past. So let's have a look at these changes in the actual combat. See if we can maintain this reduction in speed because I've got a full cargo. Oh, look at that. That's so beautiful. Me Jolly Roger fly there. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, I've wanted to be pirate for so long. That looks good. So the first thing we can notice is up there in the top left hand corner there's another bar added. There's a bar there in the middle, and that's the bar that dictates your hull integrity. Now if that bar goes down to 0, then you sink. There's no pumps, there's no leak or nothing like that. You are sunk, your ship is destroyed. So it's vital that you never let that bar get down to 0. Now let's talk about repairs a bit. Now firstly, obviously now repairs have changed, so you can carry all these repair kits. So now you can repair as often as you like, within time constraints obviously. There's a 15-minute cooldown. Then after that 15 minutes you can then repair again, providing you've got the requisite items and units in your hull. So this pretty much changed the dynamics of battles, because it's going to be advantageous now to repair quite soon. As soon as you start taking damage, you want to get your repair started quite soon, because you don't want that middle bar going down too far. And obviously the sooner you repair, the sooner the cooldown starts, so the sooner you can repair again. So if you repair early, you're actually going to get more repairs in over the course of the whole battle. So that's going to change little things. It's now not, you used to sort of wait until you take a certain amount of damage to only have one repair, and then you'd repair, and the same with sails. Now you're better off getting those repairs undergone quite soon. So that's one big change. Now, you can repair a lot more, but to offset that, I believe that cannons are doing a lot more damage. Now we'll find out. Well, that was certainly a lot more damage. Now against the cutter, obviously, but I took off over half his side army there with one broadside. I don't think every cannonball connected there either. So the cannons are doing a lot more damage. So a lot more repair, a lot more damage. Now the other difference is you notice the armour's gone down there on his side. Now it doesn't matter so much with the cutter, but if your armour deteriorates, then now so does the thickness of your hull. So this means smaller cannons that before would just bounce off bigger ships. They still will bounce off bigger ships when the bigger ship is undamaged. But when its armour's gone down, so if it's in a big battle and someone's, bigger cannons have cut down its side armour, its thickness is then reduced. So smaller cannons will now be able to penetrate much more effectively and from further away. So that's going to be an interesting change. So smaller ships are going to be a bigger threat now to bigger ships once their armour's been damaged a little bit. So that's going to be interesting, and I think actually that makes medium cannons a little bit more of an attraction. It's a bit of a buff for them, because obviously they fire much faster, they require less crew to use, and now they're going to be considerably more effective against ships that have had their armour reduced. So that's a big change. So as the devs word it, combat model updated, structure introduced, ship now receives structural leaks when structure goes down, not when armour is destroyed like before. Structure affects leaks and mast's integrity. You will be able to demast by bow and stern raking, because I might try that later. New sound system is implemented. Crew responds to your actions and intensity of combat. Now I have noticed that actually you can hear my crew calling out and calling instructions to turn something. That is different. There's a bit of a cheer. I can't imagine this being a particularly high intensity battle scene as I'm in pirate foot just fighting against the cutter. But yeah, I've noticed that. Definitely an improvement in sound effects again, so that's good. Chain shot damage fall off from distance implemented and added to game. So obviously chaining from further away does less damage to sails. I'll try and have a look at that later as well. And another really big change is the battle results screen is removed. You can stay up to 15 minutes inside the battle after it is over. Players exiting battle spawns in the open world. So no more of this exiting to friendly port when you finish the battle. You spawn in the open world. Now obviously there is a potential problem in that, because you could end up getting tagged during to a battle, then you escape, and then you immediately go to run, then you get tagged again, and so on, and you could get griefed. You could never get away. So they have brought something in to prevent that happening, and it's invisibility. Apparently invisibility has been added when exiting battles under the following conditions. Both the sides will receive 1 minute invisibility on exit. You cannot be attacked or attacked during invisibility. Invisibility persists even if you die and spawn in port. So that's interesting. So when we come out of this battle, we should see us go invisible for 1 minute. And from now on, all NPC ships cannot be captured on the PvP server. You can still take their hold and loot, but you cannot switch to an NPC ship anymore. On the PvE server, NPC ships will be capturable with no restrictions. On the PvP server, you will only be able to capture ships and players. Player fleet ships are considered PvP ships and can be captured. This fix also closes final loopholes on PvP marks farming and provides guaranteed market to shipbuilders. Okay, so as I suggested in the last video, there is no capturing ships and using that as a steady stream of resources. Those days are over. You're going to have to be doing something else to get a revenue stream, because you cannot capture PvE AI ships. So you notice now he now has no structure. So yeah, okay. So there's the kill message. So he should start sinking. Now I need to get close to him before he sinks, so that I can loot his hold. And the way the wind is, I don't think that's going to be happening. Actually, I don't think I'm going to be able to get there before he sinks. He's well on the way to it already. Okay, yeah, so there's the kill. Oh, crikey, he sunk very fast. Okay, so we won't be able to see it this time. I will try to show you well, I'd like to see actually the looting screen, because that's how I assume in the battle now. So in the battle map, you now loot the ship. There's no after battle screen anymore. So I'll try and have another fight in this video and just show you that quickly. So just to reiterate that change, you can now use the hold of your fleet ships. New perks are introduced for fleet management. I'll go into that in a bit. Go back to port and start using the perks. Hold management in instances added. Hold management for fleets is revamped. You can now use holds of your fleet in battles and capture hold from boarded sinking enemies. Okay, so boarding them is probably the best way to grab the loot then. Bot routes and NPC fleet composition significantly improved. Okay, well, we'll yet to see that. Assign crew functionality is updated and somewhat improved. So somewhat improved, I suppose, means not improved very much. Hopefully we'll get to look at that as well. So I can't through, so we leave battle. So there is no battle screen now, as you can see, straight into the open world, no choice. So I should respawn, pretty much where I was, and you will see there's my battle report, 4,700 gold, 71 XP, and I picked up 2 PvE marks then for just killing a cutter. Okay, so not too bad. And there you can see my invisibility time alert ticking down there. So at the moment I cannot be seen, I cannot be attacked, and I cannot attack while that ticker goes down for 1 minute. 1 minute's not actually that long. If you want to get away from something, you need to get a scoot on and start sailing away in one of the less obvious directions, I assume, if you're trying to get away as soon as you can, or possibly trying to predict where your enemy is going to sail to if you want to try and tag them again. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Okay, so let's head back to port. All in all, though, I have to say I am liking these changes so far. I think this is a big improvement. There's some other things which I'll talk about later to do with trading, teleporting and stuff, which might be a bit more problematic. But at the moment, I think these are really good changes. I think this is really positive. Now, the other thing that's occurred to me is, of course, not only are there more repairs, but of course you can now repair crew in the battle map with rum. So that's going to change things quite a lot, and that's going to have a big effect on stern raking, because stern raking really used to be used so that you could reduce the crew, because it was very effective at killing crew, because obviously because the cannonballs would rush down the gun deck and kill a lot of crew. So that's going to change stern raking. It might become less important, but of course that's offset by the fact that obviously you can stern rake, you can take down the stern armour quite quickly, and then you'd be quite quickly eating into people's structure. And as the structure goes down, structure affects leaks and mast integrity. So as that structure goes down, you're going to be able to cause leaks and potentially demast ships through stern raking instead. So a bit of a difference there. I shall try and stern camp a ship in this video and do a bit of raking along its stern, and we'll see what kind of results we get there. But for now, let's get back into port and have a look at some of the perks and some of the fleet functionality that's been added. Before we do that, let's just have a little look at repairs. So this is repairing, obviously, in the open world, crew, sails and armour. I don't really need to do, but let's do it. Okay, no sail, no use rig repairs. That's good because they weren't damaged. Armour. I use 5 hull repairs to repair a bit of armour and crew. Oh, I repaired 500 crew and used 500 rum. Well, I wasn't aware I even lost any crew. Certainly not 500. So that's a bit of a bug there. And I've also lost 500 rum. But that's a bug. I think I should report that. That's obviously not working properly. So before we talk about perks, let's talk about probably the most contentious change that's happening, or one of the most contentious changes that's happening in the Great Wipe in this patch. This is the one that has really got a lot of the naval action community spitting feathers, and I think this is referred to as tiered ship knowledge. So removal of current upgrade system and ship quality level, and replaced with tiered ship knowledge. Now, the dev's description of this is, we were not satisfied with the fact that upgrades were worth more than the ships themselves. Most upgrades will be removed from the game and transferred to individual ship knowledge, with bonuses that will depend on individual ships and or class. Sailing a ship and getting kills will add XP on that ship and will unlock knowledge slots over time. Currently, all ships have 5 slots. All crafted ships will only have will only have wood type and trim designed by the crafter. Every ship will have 3 permanent upgrades, which will allow installation of bow figures and regional refits. Craftable permanent upgrade. Okay, so we can see here, there's my 71 XP that I just got from killing that cutter, and that has gone on to that one little upgrade slot there of 5. So when I get 1500 XP on that, then that's going to unlock that slot, and I'm going to be able to use one of the upgrades. Okay, so that seems fine to me. I've got to be honest, I don't really fully understand this, because What people seem to be saying is that they seem to think that there's a grind that you have to go up through all the ships. Now, I'm not really sure I fully understand that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I definitely don't fully understand that, because it seems to me, I've never sailed. I mean, they're talking about sailing the cutter, then sailing the pickle, then sailing the snow, then the brig, and going all the way up, and that it's necessary to do that in order to unlock all the upgrades. But that doesn't seem to be the case of what I see there, because I've never sailed any of these smaller ships on this. This is the only ship I've ever sailed on this test server, and yet I've managed to put 71 XP on that first upgrade slot. So if, like me, perhaps I'm pretty much going to be sailing only the pirate frigate and maybe a La Grosse Venture, that seems to be fine to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a big grind. I've only picked up 71 out of 1500. That's only to unlock one. So I'm going to need another. I'm going to need 7,500 to unlock unlock all five. So that is going to be quite a big grind. But I don't really see why I would need to grind that out in the cutter or the pickle if I'm not going to sell, or if I'm not bothered about having 5 upgrades on those ships. Perhaps they just want to have 5 upgrades on everything, which obviously is going to be a bit of a grind. So with the caveat that it may be the case that I don't fully understand what's going on, at the moment I don't really see the problem with it. I don't have a problem with sailing the pirate frigate and unlocking those upgrades based on how much I've sailed the pirate frigate. I mean, I quite like that idea. But if it turns out that when I've picked up 15 XP on the pirate frigate, I can't in fact unlock that upgrade, because I need to unlock upgrades on the cutter and the pickle and the brig and the snow and stuff before I can unlock, then that's not going to be so good. That's going to be a bit ridiculous. So I'll hold my judgment on this until I've worked out fully how that works. I'll go on the forums, chat to a few people in chat, look at a few YouTube videos and work out exactly how that works. And you can see there the permanent upgrades also. Every ship has 3 permanent upgrades. They allow the installation of the bow figures, regional refits, which I don't know much about at the moment, but you can refit and get bonuses in certain regions. So certain regions are good at doing certain things, and you can put those on. They're craftable permanent upgrades. So you can also add those. So that's slightly changed as well. And I can see there is an upgrade place there to store upgrades. So there are upgrades that are craftable that you can store and install on the ships. Okay, so let's talk about the perks. Okay, so perks used to be with officers, and the devs have said officers had one problem. They punished you if you played actively, e.g. sank a lot. As a result, officers were removed from the game and all perks have been moved to a player. You get 1 point per rank. Officers in their traditional sense might come back in the future. So that makes sense to me. What they're saying is that you had perks for the officers, but your ship would get sunk, the officer would get killed, and you'd then lose that perk, and that was a big disadvantage. You were being punished for playing a lot and losing ships. So what they're saying is now the perks are attached to you as the player, and regardless of what happens, you get those perks. Now, that's a good change to me. That makes a lot of sense. So let's have a look at the perks themselves. So I've no perks available at the moment. My XP is to the max, you can see, and I have 10 points. So here are the perks. Hold on. Yep, so my XP is the max, and I have 10 points because I'm cursed. I'm top rank on the test server. I think I'm rank 8 in the real server, so I'll have actual 8 in the adventure. Now, fleet control, I'll talk about that later, but that's one you're definitely going to want. You're not really going to be able to play the game without that, so I'll talk about that later, but I definitely want that one. Let's have a look at some of these others. Double shot, so that might well be useful. Trimming, that's going to help me turn faster, so that might be one I'm going to be wanting. Expert carpenter, that's going to increase repairs. So with all the repairs that are going on, that might be desirable as well. Area control, disable leave battle button in distance 70. Well, that's very interesting. Double charge, double shot. Prepared, Okay, so your guns start full when you first start. Mortar officer lets you use the mortars. Defense drill, yes, okay, that's right. This area control one, this looks really interesting because I don't remember if in the last video I was talking about the Bell Pool and how it was a massive disadvantage because it didn't have the stern chasers. Well, this area control button is going to be very useful because that's going to stop players leaving if you're within a certain distance of them, regardless of whether you hit them or not. So I think I might well go for that. Trimming expert, yeah, as I said, carronade master, self-explanatory. Rigging specialist, that's just going to make your sails more robust and you get more repair on them. Pump, that's better at water bailing. Reduces the cooldown, the emergency repair only. Okay, could be useful. This expert carpenter, I think that's going to be, it's 4 points, but that's going to be useful. And the signalling perk, which I've heard of, but that allows people, it keeps the battle open for friendlies to come in and help you. It doesn't work with outlaw battles, I noticed, which I'll talk about a bit. That's for pirates. Now, these are the economy perks. Admiralty connections. So that reduces crew higher by 20. Okay. Fisher, that's pretty self-explanatory. Foreman. Okay, so these are all going to improve, reduce the resources you need to build ships. Frigate ship master. Okay, that lowers the number of points you're going to need to build frigates. And that's going to be the same, but with light ships. And that's going to be the same with but for ships of the line. Okay, so you're going to want that if you're building the real big ships. So that saves you labour hours. That lowers, okay, shipyard connections. Okay. Plus 50 to ship and imports, hold optimization. Okay, extra hold, but that's going to slow you down. Okay, so these are all trading shipbuilding things. A double shot I'm interested in. That's only 1 point, and that's going to be useful to start using that in battle. I've not actually used that before, so that'll be interesting. We'll give that a go. So that's 2 points and 2 slots. I've got 3 slots, that's 8 points. Now I think I'm going to want that trimming expert because that's going to speed me up. So I've got 2 left and I've actually got 7 points. So I need to start using expensive things. So let's go for this expert carpenter because you're going to be able to repair up to 5 times in a battle now. So that 5% bonus, I don't think I'm going to want that signaling. That 5% bonus for expert carpenter is actually going to give you a 25% extra repairs if you do 5 repairs. We just fleet controlled. Okay, that's a lot of points. That's going to let me get 1 more ship. Could be useful. But yeah, that's going to be 25% extra. So I'm going to go for that because that's a lot. In a PvP battle, that's going to make a big difference. So I'll go for that, and then that gives me 3 points. So I think I'm going to go for this area control, because I really like that idea. I was moaning about that mechanic, and that actually repairs that. So that makes the Bell Pool a viable ship again, and you don't have to hit things in order to keep them in the battle map. So that's a very, very valuable perk. And that 3 points. So let's go for that, and we might be able to see that in action if we're lucky enough to meet another player on the test server. So there you go. There's the perks. They'll all be there now. And if I want to reset, it actually won't let me. I'll just cancel that, but it won't let you because there's a reset item that you need to buy in order to be able to do that, and that's actually quite expensive. I believe it's a few PVE marks, so that's something. Once you've got those perks, I mean, that's something you're not going to be able to chop and change like you could before. So let's talk about, you can see I bought a brig here, so let's talk about fleets a little bit, because I've never shown that in the previous videos, how to control fleets. Now, I'll just, I need to buy cannons for this, and I'll just talk briefly about this fleet perk. So you're going to need this fleet perk, because if you're sailing around in a ship and you see another player, now this is unlikely, I'm unlikely to be able to show you this on the test bed because there are so few players. that I'm unlikely to bump into a viable target. But when the game gets going properly, if you want to capture an enemy ship, the only you're not going to be able to send it back to port in the battle screen anymore, or the post battle screen anymore, as we've seen. You're going to have to. The only way you're going to be nick someone else's ship is you're going to have to capture it, board it, and then you're going to have to include it in your fleet. And then you can sail it home in your fleet, and then you've stolen their ship. If you don't have the fleet perk, then you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to steal ships. You can still steal cargo, but you're not going to be able to do that. And also, if you want to obviously have a fleet of ships and fight with 2 ships, or you want to have you want to go trading and have a gross venture with a warship to protect it, or if you want to have a ship that sails with you that carries your repairs so that you can still go reasonably fast, and then when you need to repair, you can, in the open world, you can swap over cargo and then repair. You're going to need the perk for that. So that's a pretty crucial perk that you're going to have. So let's have a look at how fleets work a little bit. So there's the brig. Let me just see if I can put I'd have preferred a LaGrosse Venture actually, but this was all that was there, so I just wanted to right, it's got a very small hold actually, so I'm just way over, so that's actually not going to work. So I think I'm going to have to put the repairs in the pirate frigate after all, because it has the bigger holes. It's going to slow me down a little bit, but when I get a LaGrosse Venture for sale, I'll go to a port with them, so I'll buy one of those and do that with that. So for the moment, we'll just put these repairs in the pirate frigate hold. And then, so you see, right, I don't want to be in the brig, so I get in the pirate frigate, so that's the main ship I want to sail, and I right-click, center fleet, and there it is. There's the brig in the fleet, and there's the access to its cargo. So that brig is now in the fleet with the pirate frigate. Because I'm the top rank, I've got plenty of crew to do that. So let's just have a quick look at the map. What I'm going to need, there I am in Mortimer Town. Now I'm going to need rum. Now I've already typed that in there. This is slider which shows distance, so we can see, just slide that up there, so we can see the places where rum is supposed to be available. And I don't really trust this trader tool, I've got to be honest, because the amount of times I've gone somewhere and it's said that they're for sale but they're not, is quite frequent. But I mean, it's saying that I can get rum in Ocean Bite and little in Aguar, so I've wasted all my rum. So let's see if I can go and buy some rum. Let me just check resources, food. Yeah, so there's no rum to buy here, or even though it did say there was in the trader tool. So like I said, I don't really trust that trader tool. I'm going to have to find out a bit more about that. Oh right, okay, I didn't have enough crew. What have I done wrong there? Right, okay, right, okay, so there you can see this come up for my fleet, so I'll just add crew to that. I'm going to have to... Okay. Okay, so let's sail in the pirate frigate and the brig together, and I'll show you some of the fleet controls. So let's have a look at the open world. Yeah, I was hoping... There's my hull repairs that are in the... Is there anything down here? No, just the gold and the rank. I don't... So I was hoping there was something here that would allow me to move cargo from one ship to the other in the open world, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So I'm not 100% sure how that happens. Perhaps you can only do it in port or in the battle map, I'm assuming. I'll have to find out a little bit more about that. So I didn't have to go too far, and I've spotted this LaGrosse Venture American. So let's attack this. Now I want to just do this just to first I want to stern camp it and show you a bit of this stern raking and see how that's changed in the combat models. I want to show you a little bit about the fleet control because I've got the brig with me now, so it's actually quite simple, but I'll show you some of that. And I want to board it, and let's see how we now take the cargo in the battle map, because that's something that we haven't looked at yet. So there you go. There's, you can see there's my frigate, and which I'm controlling, and there's the Navy brig that I bought that's in the fleet with me. So I have 2 ships which will attack this Gross Venture. He's quite a way away. I've also noticed that you can put your sails onto full before that timer goes down. Now, only a little change that wasn't mentioned, but you can put your sails on full while the time is still going down, and when it hits 0 and the battle starts, then you're already in full sail. Okay, so you press M to get up the fleet control map, and you select the ship in your fleet that you want to control on the map there. In this case it's only one, and then here are all the options that you have. So I'm going to go destroy. Now if I do that, my brig is just going to attack the Gross Venture, so let's watch it do that. I'm being slowed down. This is the other thing I was going to talk about. I am being slowed down, I think, quite a bit by the cargo that I'm carrying. I'm at my optimal sailing angle at the moment, and you can see I'm only doing sort of around 10 knots. Now, I would be expected to do over 11 knots in a frigate when it's not fully laden, so that's actually a really big effect. Having full cargo and full cannons, I mean I haven't got full cargo, but nearly full cargo, that's reducing my speed by well over 10%, that's 15%, approaching 20%, so that's actually a very significant reduction. So carrying a lot of repairs in your hold slows you down a great deal. So that's really going to change the dynamic of sailing in the open world. If you're in a trading ship, for example, and you've got all the booty and gold coins that you've stolen, then you're going to be going a lot slower on your way home. And if someone comes along in a ship that their ship is likely to be a lot faster, and they're going to catch you, and you're in danger of losing it. So a very, very different dynamic, and a lot more danger involved in trading. So big difference, a bit of difference that I think I like, but it remains to be seen how that works in practice when the wipe happens. So good old Oliver Goddard there in the trade, in the brig, is a lot faster than me and is doing a lot of work and taking a lot of damage. So I think I'm going to pull him out of there. So I select him, and let's go for follow me, and let's see what he does. I don't know how long this... Oh, well that's quick. He already appears to be turning, so that's really good. He's immediately turned away and turned towards me, so that's really, really fast, responsive changes. I like that. I mean, this isn't a change for the wipe, this has always existed, but I've never actually used or used the fleet tactics very much, and I've never shown them on previous videos, so I'll just give you a look. But you can see he's responded really quickly to my commands, and he's immediately fallen into the line behind me, so that's good. I like that. So you can see I forwarded the battle here. I set my good friend Oliver Goddard to just demast, so he's now firing chain at this Gross Venture. Now I've managed to get right up behind it, and I'm starting to do a bit of stern raking. You see I've already stripped away his stern armour, and I've started eating into his middle bar there, his structural integrity, his hull integrity. So let's get a couple of stern rates going and see if we can notice any difference in terms of crew being killed and how did I actually hit. I have to be honest, I'm not used to sailing this frigate very much, and I am getting a little bit of lag, so you'll have to excuse me if there's a few misses here, but hopefully I'll get another one in and we can see what's going on. He's slowed up considerably. You can see the state his sails are in now. I actually didn't notice that, but all Oliver has been steadily firing old bits of chain into him. Hitting, hull damage, module. He didn't do much at all. I mean, I think that centre bar went out there. That wasn't a terrible stone rake. So really, what I want to do is I want to see him start leaking, and even mast going down. When this structural integrity starts to decrease further. So I don't really have a bit of chain there. So this is stern camping. Because I'm going a lot faster, I can afford to keep turning, and I just sort of go in a zigzag motion and fire with it, so I'll just keep firing. Quite a few crews, so I'm not seeing a big change there. It seems to still kill crew. And obviously in a PV battle now with the run, if that was a player, he could be repairing those crews, so I can see how stern making is less effective in that respect. I had to jump again because I actually got quite a bit of lag there, which threw me off course, so I had to re-catch him up again. So I jumped forward again too far. And you can see that saw there that the central thing's gone down a little bit more. There it is, but it's still more than half. And stern rake here. And not a great deal. So this is quite a long, drawn-out thing, trying to knock down the structural integrity purely by stern raking. That's going to take a long time, I think, judging by how long it's taken on this LGV. I mean, I've done, half a dozen decent stern rakes, and he's still got half of his structural integrity left. Going to get Oliver Goddard a little bit more involved. Back on destroying, he can come on hopefully help me. Okay, so a bit of hole there, only 2 crew. Again, that central bar, it really is creeping down. Did it even go down? So really, stern raking, taking a lot longer. I mean, if I was doing this pre-wipe, I would be expecting him to have be immobilised or as by now. That's now 7 or 8 decent stern rakes, and he's still got more than half his structural integrity yet. So stern raking less effective, perhaps. I mean, if this is a player, he would be repairing his crew. So from 7 or 8 real good stern rakes, he would be doing okay. He might even be able to keep up the repair with the repairs. I won't count that one. I didn't connect at all. I think I might be hitting the side quite a lot with this steel because his side line is also heavily damaged. So it may just be that I'm just not quite good enough to get full effect stern rates, and that's why it's taking so long. Each sort of ship is got sort of its own sort of idiosyncrasies in terms of the way the cannons go off. I find, and the frigate isn't a ship that I'm particularly used to at the moment. Quite got the feel for it, so raking's probably not. Well, okay, there you go then. So that's the mast one. So okay, so so stern raking then it can be effective in that respect. He's still had over half his structure. There you can see that, and I've managed to take one of the masts off. So it's definitely different. I mean, it took a long time. But a good stern rake there, when he had half his structural integrity, did take his mast off. So you can see how that combat mechanic is working in effect. Now I can't be sure that one of my cannonballs didn't stray over the top and actually hit the mast. I don't think it did. I think I'm hitting the stern and perhaps it's travelling through and hitting the mast underneath deck level. I don't know. But I don't think I was aiming so that I'd actually hit a mast. I think I just was stern raking. I was taking down that central piece of armour, and that, as that weakened, his mast was the integrity of his mast was reducing, and so there was an increased chance of me hitting the mast and knocking it off. Or did one of my cannons stray over the top and hit one of the masts? I really don't know. So I don't know how that works. All I know is obviously it is the case that as the structural integrity, the hull integrity, the middle bar drops, the chance of the mast of demasting a ship is increased. So I've rather abruptly jumped to this map again because I did hope to show you the in-game looting of the cargo of the ship, because I did manage to board that LGV, but I couldn't work out how to do it. I boarded and then I sat next to it and absolutely nothing happened. Now I'm assuming there must be a key that you need to press in order to access the hold of a ship that's dropped below a certain amount of knots. I think it's 3.3 knots. But I didn't know what that key was, so I couldn't actually loot that LGV. I will endeavour to find out exactly how to do that and show you that in the next video, but I couldn't do it this time, so there was no point in showing you that. But the really important changes that I haven't yet discussed are changes to transport and teleporting. Now, these are really important. Now, resource transport between free towns has been removed. So all that messing about we did in the last episode, far away ports, where I went down to Calabello and Concepciao, and I built a silver mine and bought silver and was working out how to ship that from one free town to another. That is no longer applicable. You cannot do that. If you want to go down to Calabello and you want to go and get gold, you're going to have to sail there, and then you're going to have to sail back. And if you want to go again, you're going to have to sail there and sail back again. So that is a huge change, and that's going to make the game a lot more regional, because travelling around the whole map is going to be a massive undertaking. Now that is hardcore, And again, that's another thing that the community have, well, some people in the community have been spitting feathers about. Ship transport between outposts has been removed, so you can't move ships between outposts, and teleport to Freetown has been removed. Outpost to outpost transport is only available between national towns, so the only teleporting that you do from outpost to outpost, which you used to be able to do instantaneously, you can now only do that to and from outposts that are in towns that are owned by your nation. And even the teleport to capital button has now been removed, so you can't even do that. I believe that's been replaced with a teleport to nearest port. So if you get stuck for whatever reason, for some reason you can't move, you don't have enough crew, I don't know. I've never actually experienced that, but apparently it is possible to get completely stuck where you can't do anything, or you just you need to be able to get out of that situation. There is recourse to that, and that will now only just take you to the nearest port. It won't take you back to your capital. So these are really, really big changes. This is going to fundamentally change how the game is played. It's going to be much more difficult to explore the entire map and to have operations going on throughout the whole of the Caribbean. You are really going to be limited in terms of what you can do to the local area. And like I said, to travel around to other areas and pick up goods that might only be available in faraway ports is going to be a huge undertaking. You're going to have to undergo voyages that could be as long as 3 real-time hours to get from one place to another. Now, all these changes have been done to try and encourage people to take to the open world, because I completely agree with this aspect of it, because it was possible to trade and to move things about and to move things away from one map to the other, actually spending very little time actually sailing on the ocean, just by teleporting, moving goods to a free port, shipping them over to the free port. And they've wanted to take that out of the game and encourage people to spend more time out in the open world, which is a good thing. But I do worry about how it's going to be possible for more casual players to, they're just not going to be able. They're not going to be able to do any of these undertakings unless you've got the time to put in to undertake these longer voyages. So overall, I like most of the mechanic changes that have been taking place. The jury's out a bit on this tiered ship upgrade system. Because I'm not really 100% sure how that works. I don't really want to be doing a grind through the pickle and the cutter and all that lot in order to get upgrades on my pirate frigate. So that remains to be seen whether that's the case or not. And I am sceptical about how this lack of teleporting is going to work, forcing people to sail long distance in the open world, and whether people can actually be prepared to do that. So I'm a little bit worried about that as well. But the other changes, the changes in combat mechanics and the invisibility and those kinds of pretty much all the other changes, I really approve of. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. The thing about games like this is you do have to have some grind, and otherwise everybody's sailing around in victories and Santissimas within the first week, and that's rubbish. You don't want that. So you're going to have some grind where you can sail these really big ships, where you can get the resources to build these really big ships. That's essential. But on the other hand, you don't really want to force people to put in endless hours into the game grinding out things that are really boring in order to be able to achieve anything. So it remains to be seen whether the right balance has been found. Now, there were some other bits and bobs, some other tweaks, some other bug fixes that I haven't covered, and there's some stuff about port battles which I haven't covered in this video because simply I've never been in a port battle, so I can't really comment on whether those changes are any good or not. But there have been some significant changes to that too. But otherwise, that's a pretty comprehensive list of what we can expect to find after the Great Wipe in this new patch. And the only other thing to mention changes is, which is applicable to me, is the pirate versus pirate. These are referred to now as outlaw battles. Pirates can now attack each other even though they're in the same nation. The battle created by pirates versus pirates is always open and has free-for-all rules. You can sink anyone you see. The signalling perk doesn't work in the battle. The battle cannot be created in capital protected waters, and outlaw battles do not give rewards. So that's something that's unique to being in a pirate nation. It acts as a nation in every other way, but pirates are able to attack each other. They can kill who they want, but there are no rewards to be gained from doing those. So that's one big change that's applicable to pirates. So I'm in danger of running over 1 hour, which I don't really want to do in these videos. I probably will creep a little bit over actually after the final credits. So I just want to say, overall, I think these changes are good. I think this game is improving. It is in alpha. There are problems, but I'm actually happy about the changes that have happened and the way it's progressing. Now, the teleporting or lack thereof and the tiered ship upgrades, well, that might take a bit more getting used to, and it might not suit more casual players. So we'll have to see how that works out. If you can clear up anything that I might have misunderstood in this episode, then please feel free to put something in the comments. I do read them all, particularly with regard to the tiered upgrade system, and it would actually be handy to know how you're supposed to loot a boarded or sinking ship in the battle map. That would be quite useful to me. I think it's fair to say there's been a bit of a toxic atmosphere amongst some of the naval action community and the devs. I understand that some people have been banned from the game or the forums, and sometimes this has been justified and sometimes maybe it hasn't. And if you've ever read any of the Steam reviews for this game recently, they've become a bit negative, and that might be putting you off playing if you've read them, or certainly other potential players. And in turn, this has rubbed off a bit on a lot of the players who are playing and do like the game. And there's a lot of negativity about whether or not the player base is going to recover after this wipe. But I'll stick my neck out and say this, at the risk of coming across as some kind of sycophantic fanboy. I still really like the game, and I think people will be playing it because it's a good game. I'm really looking forward to beginning again now more than ever. And so I will be back, I will be playing, and I'll see you out in the seas, and I'll see you in episode 5. And thanks very much for watching, and ahar matey.